Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Thursday Morning Live. And yes, we are a little bit late this morning, a little bit of technical difficulty this morning. But you know what? We just work through it, right? Whenever those challenges and things like that come up in our life, what do? We kind of walk through, figure out how to handle them, and take care of what we need to take care of. Hey, good morning. Welcome. If you're new to the show here today, I'm glad that you're here. Every week on Thursday morning, we'll bring you a different guest, not necessarily talking about real estate or multifamily, but maybe talking about entrepreneurship or maybe talking about finances or business. This morning, I'm excited about my guest. We'll get to him in a minute. Longtime friend for sure. But what I want to mention to you is, are you being intentional? Here we are. We're almost at the end of the first quarter of the year. We're well into March, and where are you at? Are you still on track for your goals? Are you still working towards where you want to go, or are you letting the noise of the media keep you off track? My suggestion is always to defer those distractions and to continue to stay committed to your goals, short term and long term. Every step we take on a daily basis gets us to that next point in our life. And keep your eyes on that end goal. Hey, as I mentioned, if you're here for the first time, welcome. If you're a returning listener, appreciate you this morning. My guest this morning, Chad Coe with Co Financial, longtime personal friend of mine. We're going to talk about finances, entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about something that takes us into a rabbit hole and we try to figure out how to get out. But remember, follow us on social media. So, like us, love us on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you hang out. If you are watching us live on YouTube this morning, smash the subscribe button. We're always bringing you new content, new information to help you grow, help you get to the next level. If you're on Facebook, follow us live at Multifamily Unplugged, where you're going to continually see real estate information and updates about new events and more events coming up. Let me bring our guest in. Chad, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? It's been a
Glad to be here.
while.
It has been a little bit. It's some exciting news for you. I think you're now relocated
Yeah, yeah,
to happy, sunny California.
yeah. Love the West Coast. I think my friend Nick Canali, longtime real estate attorney friend of mine from Schaumburg. Um, and he and I were talking the other day, and Nick said, "Man, for 20 years you've wanted to move out there." And I said, "Yeah, I know." And finally pulled the trigger and made the plunge. So, if it had quit raining, it'd be nice. But I'm sure you've heard nationally about all the rain we've had out here. So,
I have, and I was out there to experience it myself. I have a really kind of funny story. I was just at a conference where the speaker gets up and he goes, "I want to be the very best speaker you've ever heard."
huh?
And he goes
Wow.
into his speech, and it's about 3 or 4 minutes in, and the laptop battery burns out. And he's like, "I want to be the best speaker, but now we have a problem. So can we take like a minute or two and please fix the problem?" As he continued to talk, because he knew the slides.
Oh,
But technical difficulties are part of our life. And as you and I just experienced a few using StreamYard, we're used to it. But I want everyone to kind of know, right? Every single day there's going to be adversity. And instead of you and I were laughing through it, instead of getting upset or getting disfigured, kind of just work through it and know that coming out on the other end, you're going to be okay.
yeah, for sure.
Or actually better.
Yeah, actually, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? Always.
It does.
Yeah.
These are good points.
So listen, I just want to tell anybody that's listening in this morning, if you have questions or comments, throw those in the chat. We'll get those answered for you. Um, Chad, whenever I start these shows, and I haven't had you on for probably a year or better now at this point, but I always ask that one question, in one word, what best describes you personally and professionally? And now what I'm going to do after you say this is I'm going to go back and I'm going to check, see what you said last time. But
You could do that.
yeah,
I'm going to use the word today. I'm going to use the word passionate.
passionate.
Uh,
Great. What makes you passionate? Because that's something I know about you is that you're extremely passionate. But what makes you passionate?
My wife turned 60 in February. The world showed up in a way that was abundant, and I was able to both work remote and touch and be around my clients as they needed and wanted. But I was able to travel through Los Angeles, Laguna, San Diego, Las Vegas, see you two at the Sphere, see the
Oh,
Super Bowl, come home, repack for 2 weeks, go back to Miami, go on a yacht with 100 passengers, leave there, go back to Miami, and just live a life where you make new friends, new acquaintances. You just live, I would say, large, and it inspires you because if you're living large, you're around other people that are living large. They have a positive attitude. They're not looking at the stock market. They're not looking at their portfolio. They're not even looking at where they live or how they spend their every day. They're out
right.
traveling and doing and living and sharing and being positive. And now that I'm home for a few days, I just feel extremely passionate around the fact that I'm energized. I feel good. I'm rejuvenated. My mind is strong. I'm talking to people that are being engaged, and I'm really having fun with that. And and passionate's the word.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you know what? There's a lot in there, and people should take heed of that. I just came back from 2 weeks on the road myself. I was in Phoenix for a week, and then we were in Vegas for a week at two different events. I'll tell you something interesting. You may appreciate this. Never in my life had I been to a live tennis event. And my girlfriend's a big tennis buff and wanted to see her favorite player, Nadal, play. And so in Vegas last week, we got to go to this tennis event. And I'm going to tell you, Chad, it's so much different at one of those events than it is at a Bears game or at a hockey game, right? Different crowd, a lot of people from overseas, but it was exciting and it was fun to experience something different. And I don't care what stage of life you're in, you really need to be experiencing different things in your life. And I think that you just went through that with this trip. So what were a couple of things you guys did on the road?
Well, before we go there, I just want to share with you, I'm a huge tennis guy as well, and
I knew you were.
I did have a chance to actually meet Nadal at a private event a few years ago. I think I might have even shared that with you. And while he was practicing, he had his two coaches, himself and me. I'm standing on the outside of the fence, and I'm watching the downpour. And I'm asking myself, do I go and I help him pick up the balls, or do I just sit there and continue to watch them get rained on? The answer is I chose to watch them just get rained on.
Yeah.
And as they were leaving, he was nice enough to say goodbye and he'll see me later. So I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of cool.
That,
Um, you know, how many of you have watched the you two in the Sphere, right? We watch these videos, just like you watch tennis from the television. There's nothing like being able to immerse yourself in something that is technologically advanced with beautiful sound and beautiful video that you could be there for a couple hours and just let yourself go.
mm,
When I'm at the Super Bowl, it was a treat that my brother brought me to, and we're really close up to the field on the 20-yard line. If you look at my TikTok, I posted the final play just right in front of me, and you could immerse yourself in the play and in the excitement and in the crowd. You could see the people rooting for the 49ers, the people rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs. And as you're part of it, you're just part of an experience. And your mind goes to places. And it really just likes the idea that it's in different places from your everyday life. As
right.
I sit here, you can see the fish tank behind me. To my left, I have a prairie. I watch the birds and the squirrels and the different deer that yesterday came to my window, right? So it's just nice to be able to be in different environments, to see different things. And it costs money to do that. But there's universal laws about being able to spend money and invest money in order for money to show up. I
Mm,
think you're all about investing money. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's why you need to invest in more than one thing. But the more you
absolutely.
outlay your money, the more opportunity you have for it to grow.
Right.
Now, talk about retirement. Now your money has grown, hopefully compounded. Now you're in your retirement phase. It takes someone like myself, right? Someone like myself, whether it's me or someone else, to help you get to where you want to go on purpose. And that's the point of having professionals in your life that can help you do that.
Yeah. So, Chad, let's back up for a minute here. Why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, where you're located?
Um, my name's Chad Coe. It's on the screen. A retirement income planner. I've kind of been focusing on the retirement income because my clients are typically age 50 to 75, and that's what they start to think about. I help people with professional money management. I help people with advanced planning. I'm based here in the north side of Chicago in Northbrook. My passion is to be able to help people to retire comfortably. I've been doing this for over 25 years with my own company called Co Financial Group. Other things that I do, I've written a few books. If you go to my LinkedIn, underneath my picture, you could download my books for free at Chad Coe. I'm happy to connect to people that want to connect via LinkedIn or other social media. I do use TikTok to share my abundance and the idea that there's things out there that we've seen that we want to share. I use Instagram and YouTube. I have a YouTube channel as well that it's Chad Coe Abundant. Feel free to go there to subscribe. At the end of the day, what I care about and why I work so hard is to help people retire comfortably and stay comfortably retired.
That's awesome. And now you've been doing this a long time.
I'm doing it over 25 years. And and with that, we have choices. I'm turning 60 years old. When I was in my 20s or 30s, I was going through life trying to figure out what was going to be a healthy, productive life. Everything in life gave me the tools to be successful in this business one day at a time. And that's what I really focus on is one day at a time. What is it that I want to do to both be happy, fulfilled, and be there for my clients and my relationships? I have examples where it's a Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning and the phone will ring and I'll pick it up because I have a belief that if that's when my client or relationship is worried about something or thinking about something, and if I'm free, I'll pick up the phone and talk to them Sunday. I
Mm.
don't mind working 7 days a week because if the client is has a question or concern, I don't want it to dwell on them. Now, it doesn't mean that I can always pick up the phone, but if I'm free, I will. And a lot of people, I have a client whose advisor was out of town, and he said, if you want to talk to me while I'm out of town and not my assistant, I could charge you more for that service. And I said, really? They really want to charge you more? I mean, don't we have that fair price when we work with someone to begin with? And that person moved to me, and we have a stellar relationship. But if I'm out of town and the phone rings or a text, I'm going to respond because that's how I believe from day one of being in business.
Yeah. Awesome. Good for you. What a great value system. And that's one thing that I've always appreciated about you is I think that you had, and you and I think known each other now 20 years at least, and your value system's always been the same. And I have to tell this story because I think that this puts a cap on who you are. But the very first time you and I met, you asked me before I left your office, what can I do for you? And I said, well, I'd like to meet this person and this person. And you said, hold on, walked over to your computer, printed out a couple of contact forms. And this is how long this is ago this was because you were using ACT back then as the database, right? And you printed those sheets out for me. But before I ever left the office, you were calling those two individuals on the phone saying, hey, this friend of mine, Mike, is going to call you. Take his call, talk with him. And that's who you are. And I really think that's what people should do. This is about connection, it's about relationship, just life in general. And it's so much in the business you're in, the business I'm in, what we need to be doing for people.
I
But
learned that, Mike. I learned to pick up the phone and call and make introduction, make things happen for my dad. My dad was an attorney. He was an entrepreneur, corporate attorney, estate planning attorney. He was an entrepreneur and could do a lot of things. But he was always about helping people and doing it in
mm,
real time. And I watched as a child him do that, and I've carried that with me today.
you
If
know
you know how
what?
to use technology, you could do quite a bit quickly,
Yep.
and I've embraced technology and change, and it's worked for me over the years.
And what's interesting is you may remember, and I think we've talked about this before, but the 6 degrees of separation, right? Any of us are only within 6 people of who you really want to meet. And if you ask enough people around you in your sphere, you're going to find somebody that's going to lead you to the person, and I think that the example that that book gave years ago was, hey, if you want to meet the president, you're only 6 people away from meeting the
Mhm.
president,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. As a
So,
matter of fact, it's a funny story about that. My neighbor's daughter worked for both Barack and Biden for many years,
oh,
and he once did the motorcade for the president and did other things. And she was right there on Air Force One. And again, it's my neighbor and a friend of mine's daughter who's actually working with the president for all those years. She
wow.
recently moved on, but it might only be actually one or two phone calls away if I
Yeah,
actually needed to speak to them.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Hey, listen, I have to ask you because we're in this, similar but different industries. Um, where's the market at and where's it going? What do you see happening?
We just came back from a conference where the economist spoke about interest rates coming down. And I just got on the phone with another friend of mine whose economist said that the markets and the yields and the interest rates are going to stay the same.
Mm,
Uh, After a bear market like we had the last couple of years, they talk about a bull market for the next 5 years. And then I've talked to other economists and other advisors who talk about the fact that the markets might stay flat and you might it might even go down. The
so
problem is, and I'll share this with you, it's not where the market's going. But I really truly believe if you stay invested in equities in a diversified portfolio, your money has the probability of growing over 5 and 10 year periods. The major problem is people are so afraid of losing money, they don't invest and they don't put time on their side. They just look at the day to day, week to week, or month to month returns. This is where, as an example, for you, real estate is nice because they're locked in and the results might be 5 or 10 or 15 years away, but they can't get in and out of the real estate deal. They have to stay invested. And if
right.
they would just stay invested in a diversified portfolio, working with an advisor that understands how the markets work and how diversification works, everybody could succeed and everybody could retire successfully. But I just know from all my years of experience, there's just some people out there, a lot of people out there that just don't want to hear that advice.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's a lot of fear and trepidation in the market right now, and I've been looking at it this way, that there's two bookends, right? You've got the one investor who says, "Oh no, I'm going to wait because I think next week a better deal is going to come to the market." And in my space, any of those better deals that have come to the market or are going to come to the market are getting eaten up or insider traded. So deals are getting worked out, or if a deal can't get worked out with an owner and a bank, what's happening is the lender is calling up an experienced operator and insider trading those deals. But the other bookend is people who are just afraid,
Yeah.
of, where we've got two wars going on. What if the world breaks out in a war? What if you don't wake up tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
I
So
mean, there's
you're
always what if.
so Mike, you kind of reinvented yourself in the last 4 or 5 years, and you're basically focused on the real estate side.
Right.
So with the deals that are working for you today and where you're going, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And how do you see the deals in 4 to 5 years that you're working on?
Great question. I just posted a post on Facebook this morning. Me standing next to a bull, holding on to the horns on the bull, and I said, "Are you in position for the next bull run?" You know, we're in a cyclical industry. Real estate cycles go up and they go down. Those cycles last 5 to 8 years. We're probably 3 years into a down cycle right now. And if you drew that reverse hump on a chart and you got in anywhere on the downside coming up out of the on the upside, and we don't know when that's going to change, right, Chad? That could change tomorrow. It could change in 3 months from now. But when you start coming up, if you're in front of that next bull run, that's where wealth gets redistributed in the country. That's where wealth gets remade. So, are you positioning yourself today to take advantage of what's coming? Is what
Right.
I tell people.
I think that's an excellent thing. Now, when you were back in Chicagoland, you used to play golf and enjoy Chicagoland and your friends here. What are you doing to with your time now that you're in California?
Isn't this podcast about you? But I'll answer that question. But
I shared the about me.
I want to make sure that when you come to California next time, that you and Jill look us up. So, but you know what? We walk on the beach. We take a bike ride. The it's beautifully sunny out here today. It's green from all the rain we've had. You know, just enjoying the weather, the climate. You know, I was tired of sharpening my snow shovel,
Hmm.
and
It's a funny
you
one.
know, yeah, and so I love the climate, I love the atmosphere, and a whole new life. So um,
Very nice.
yeah,
Well, I feel that we're abundant. I feel that we're sharp. I see a lot of smiles. I'm really glad that you found someone to be able to spend your time with, and that you're
yeah.
finding joy and happiness in your life and helping other people get what they want.
Thanks. Hey, why don't you talk to people a little bit about? I know you've written a couple of books, really about you know personal fulfillment, personal achievement. You do a couple mastermind events. Why don't you tell people about that stuff that you do and how they could get involved or reach you through that?
I have a website out there called Mastermind Connections, and Mastermind Connections has the books where you could do the free downloads. Started over 20 years ago, where I wrote a book on networking called The Power of Peopletizing, which is really just basically being nice, caring, sharing, and thoughtful, and doing it on purpose with examples of how to become a better networker. And then I wrote a second book, which was called The Confident Leader, which is about just figuring out what it takes for you to be confident. And I have some
Mhm.
rules, about 7 rules that I've come up with for me that help me build and have a lot of confidence. Right? As a leader, I want to know that they're going to get the work done, be a confident leader, and to be able to ask for anything that I would like, knowing that I'm going to get a yes. And the last one was The Auctioneer's Apprentice. As a professional auctioneer that raises money for nonprofits, I wrote a book called The Auctioneer's Apprentice, which is just a really nice, simple parable that helps raise somebody to be my apprentice. And it goes through different stories and scenarios uh, to actually show how this person's life could be raised and think bigger long term. And so
Yeah.
the books are something that was a passion project of mine. I did an audible for The Auctioneer's Apprentice, and I'm just glad that they're behind me. But a lot of people have read them and really been able to enjoy and learn from them, which is one of my goals is to help people just learn and grow and be successful and abundant.
Awesome. What a great vision, and about giving back, right? Um, is there is there anything that you're doing in the community, to give back? Are you? What pulls on your heartstrings, Chad?
Um, there's a lot of people out there today that are really struggling through life. They have kids with mental health issues. I think it's the mental health side of life right now. And I'm taking the time to be able to speak with people, help them, guide them, and give them someone to talk to. I do run mastermind groups. I do run a center of influence call where we could get on and just kind of sell our services and help us build. And then I run in person meetings every quarter with a group of people that sponsor the event. The bottom line is, when I leave here today, I'm going to speak to anyone that wants to be engaged to be able to help find their way or navigate through this world that seems to be, um, for many people, difficult. For some of us, it's easier than others. We have our course, but for those people that find it difficult, I find that I'm there as a support role to be able to help them. I'm involved with a few different charities raising money. Um, and I take the time to listen to what the charities are raising money for because when it comes to adults with special needs and needing housing, I find it to be important. Whether it's kids with the mental health, where the suicide prevention, I'm passionate about trying to help prevent that. A lot of it is way above my pay grade, but I'm taking the time to care and be supportive of those people that this is important to. And again,
Yeah.
it feels on my heartstrings that I should be there for them.
Yeah, it's always about a giving heart. So, hey, Chad, I know we're pushing against time here this morning for both of us. I appreciate you. I appreciate your friendship. over the years. You know, one thing is that we're both in this for the long haul. And I think that's great. You know, both our lives have kind of reinvented over the last several years, and things are different. But you know, we continue to meet on a common ground, and that's what I want people to see is that there's a place on common ground for everybody. And I want people to think about right now who the closest people are in their lives to them. And, you know, I heard somebody say one time, they said, if you think about the five closest people to you, write down what their net income is on an annual basis, and write down what their body fat percentage is. Average those up. And do you fall into that category? Are you above it, below it? And is that really where you want to spend your time? So think about that in your life, right?
And one more thing that I'll put out there that I like to end calls with now, more recently than before. What are you grateful for?
Mm,
And what do you appreciate? And I'm grateful for the fact that last month I was able to go and take some time off and spend it with my wife and really just enjoy the places that I was able to be and be in the moment.
yeah.
And that was what's grateful for me. If you want to share what you're grateful for, maybe we wrap up after that.
Yeah, you know, I'm extremely grateful for the safe travels over the last couple weeks. We've been in cars and airplanes and buses and you know all kinds of public transportation systems, and I'm really grateful for all those travels being safe, and I'm super grateful to be back home today, to where I can catch up, get my feet back on the ground, and get re-energized. So. Um,
Beautiful.
Chad, I appreciate you being here. Tell people again how they get a hold of you, and where they can reach out to you at.
LinkedIn is easy under Chad Coe. You can email me, chad at coefinancial.com. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Chad Coe Abundant. And for those of you that do, I'll reach back out. Have a great day. We're starting this in the morning, so have a great day. And Michael, good luck and enjoy your time in California.
You too, Chad. Stand by 1 minute. Hey, everybody, reach out to Chad. Get inspiration, if nothing else, and maybe give him a little bit of yours too. But enjoy your week, everyone. We're here every Thursday. If Chad or I can do anything for you, don't hesitate to reach out and be blessed.